a lot of questions.
Oh, we don't know what they are, though.
We don't know what they are, but we know we have them.
Nancy, I think I would be shocked if you didn't have a question.
Correct. Correct.
Oh, that's great.
How are the kids, Katie? There you go.
The kids are good.
Good question, Joe.
That is a good question. They're keeping me on my toes. That's your answer. They're happy it's finally nice out to play outside. Every 5 seconds, all they want to do is be outside.
I agree.
Yep.
David's so happy because we walk every day for an hour, and he's so happy it doesn't take an hour to get all our clothes on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
he'll be
Preparation.
embarrassed if I tell you he's lost about 10 pounds.
Oh, that's
That's
excellent.
awesome.
And I know someone else has probably gained it, so they'll be mad at us. Because
I
there's
was gonna say, the COVID usually is going in the opposite direction. We're
Well, over
well, we're starving him.
That's not their son. No.
I don't know, Sharon, if we want to just go ahead and get started. So
Yeah, I think maybe we should. People can jump on still, right?
Yep.
So,
I wonder if he's
okay.
still teaching.
Are you on mute?
No, sweat. I got it way down.
Well, welcome everyone. We've been chatting here for a little bit, but I see a lot of familiar faces. The Dennons, I haven't seen them in a while, so hi to
He likes to
Nancy
play,
and Joe.
his father likes to play golf, and he's been teaching his son to play golf.
Sheila Powers. Thank you for joining us. I haven't seen you in a long time either.
Hi, Sharon.
How are you?
Okay.
Good. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Sharon Rosem. I'm the Senior Director of Corporate Partnerships with Special Olympics Connecticut. I have my colleague, Katie Dennett. Katie, if you want to wave to everyone, joining me tonight in hosting this call. And we have our friends here from Trinity Solar, Lance Rich and Lori Scala, and we'd like to thank them for joining us and taking the time to put this together with us for our friends at Special Olympics. Trinity's been a community partner with us for quite some time. It's about going on 4 years now, I believe. They've been sponsors of summer games. They've had volunteers out at many of our state games, as well as Lori's been out at the Plunge. Some of you might remember them from our last in-person summer games where they had solar charging stations for people's phones, which was a great addition for us, and people love that. They have been really a valued partner to us through volunteerism, financial support, and just overall, they're just a great group of people that are willing to pitch in and partner with us. So we are very excited to put this session together with them tonight. This is totally to be informative. I know many people probably get phone calls at home, people asking to come and give you a presentation for solar, maybe when you're walking into a store or something like that. I know I get them. And, you know, let's face it, we all shy away sometime when that happens, or we're busy and we just don't have time to listen. And I think many people just don't know a lot about solar, what it means to convert your home over to solar, how it will help you, what's the process, does it cost you money? The whole 9 yards that goes with it. I did convert to solar myself about, well, it's been like 3 years now. I'm very, very happy I did it. And I had all those questions in the beginning. At the time, it was before we had our partnership with Trinity. So I did do it with another company, but I was kind of in the same boat. I really just didn't know about it. And I met someone at a party, and as I talked to him, I was like, wow, this really is pretty good. And then we sat down and I met with them, and they did they do a Google Earth study of your home and how it will work, and the way your direction your home faces and all of that, to see if it will work for you. And it did, and I'm very happy that I did it. And as I see electric rates rise and rise, I'm even happier that I did it. So hopefully, you know, that might be something that will work out for you too. But again, this is purely informational, just to let you hear more about it. With that, I'd like to introduce Lori Scala. Lori is the Regional Community Outreach Person for Trinity Solar. and just a great partner and has become a great friend of Special Olympics. So Lori, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Sure.
Sharon. And thank you guys for being here and giving up some time for us tonight. We love being a part of the Special Olympics team and doing all we can to try and help bring some funds in to support the athletes. And just with COVID and without having the events and without being able to, really get out there and meet people and explain what we're here to do and how we can help. It's been a challenge, so we do appreciate you being here. One of our biggest challenges right now is just how to share this program and how to let people know that we're here. We want to educate you on the whole solar process. And when we do that, if we're able to save you money, if we're able to really help you out, then and you move forward with Trinity, what we do is we give a donation to Special Olympics for $1,000. And that goes a long way. We just saw a check come in a couple months ago for $3,000. And we want to keep growing that, because all we want to do is give you a safe place to come to learn about solar. We can answer all of your questions. Trinity's been around a long, long time. And, we do a lot of business in this area. We have a lot of happy customers. So we'd love to try and help you get there too, if we can. So thank you for being here. I want to introduce one of our favorite people, Lance Rich. We're very lucky to have him with us tonight. Lance is one of our VPs, and he's in charge of just teaching everybody in the company the right way to talk to people, how to teach people about solar, all of the important things that everybody needs to know. And he's in charge of all of it. And so for him to step aside and spend that time with us tonight and teach you guys all about it, it's a big honor for me to have him representing this program with us. And one of the reasons Lance decided to do that is the love he has for Special Olympics. His son has been part of the Special Olympics program for the past few years, and they see all of the joy that you bring to everybody and all of the good that you do. So to be a part of it, he's pretty happy to be here with us too tonight. So before I let Lance take over, I just wanted to kick it off with a little bit of fun. Katie had a couple of raffle donated to the evening. So the first one we're going to raffle off is a Lowe's gift card for $25. And Katie's gonna shake up the names in the hat and pull out the winner.
Oh, you can't see it. Sheila, you're the winner.
It's
Sheila
Sheila.
Powers, $25 to
Lowe's.
Lowe's.
Yeah.
I never win anything.
Well, there you go,
Hey.
Sheila.
Lucky day.
I'll mail it to you.
Thank you, Katie.
Great, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
So-
Thank you.
So Lance, if you'd like to take over and give us a little education.
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking out a few minutes to spend with us tonight. This is really exciting for us. And I know we had some more people scheduled to be on the call, but things are a little weird. I'm used to doing things in person, but it sounds like just from the initial conversation that the most important people are on the call tonight. So welcome, and thanks for taking a few minutes. Out of all the organizations that we partner with, I got to tell you, as Lori said, the Special Olympics is near and dear to my heart. That's my son, Julian, on the left, and that was him with his medal after the swimming event. So, just have had nothing but positive, incredible experiences. You guys, if you've attended some of the events, you probably know this guy on the right-hand side. We were talking about him before you guys got on. Everybody knows David, right? And David knows everybody. I met the guy for 5 minutes, and I think his mission in life is just to make people feel special, because within 5 minutes, he must have told me at least a dozen times how awesome I was. And who doesn't want to be a part of that? Who doesn't want to be around that? So just some really special people and some special experiences that I'll always remember. So we're so grateful to be a part of that. I'm also honored not just to be a part of the Special Olympics, but also to represent Trinity as well. So representing Trinity, has been something that, is special to me, because I get to have a job where what I do makes a difference. And the best part of all, I don't have to sell anything. All I get to do and all we get to do is help people qualify for the new programs that are available out there to help people go solar. So we don't have a lot of time tonight. This is normally an hour-and-a-half presentation. So I'm just gonna, squeeze it into about 15 minutes here. And I'm happy to stay on afterward and answer any additional questions, and or there'll be a link where you can sign up and you can have one of our representatives come out and actually answer your questions in your home or via video one-on-one if that works better for you. So let's go ahead and get into it. So Lori, let's hit that next slide. All right, so why are we even having this conversation? So listen, the reason that we were asked to speak is because people are seeing more and more solar going up. Raise your hand if over the last 3 to 5 years, you've noticed more solar going up in your area, right? So the reason for that is a law that was passed. Not a lot of people know this, but they call it the Renewable Standards Portfolio. But basically the state of Connecticut passed a law a few years back, and it mandated the utility companies that they had to get a certain percent of energy coming from some type of green sources by the year 2030. So at this point, it's 48%. So our state is looking to get almost half of our energy from green sources within the next 9 years. Okay, so that's a big task. So because they passed that law, the utilities are mandated to work with companies like ours to help people go green. Okay, so that's the only reason, honestly, why we're even able to have this conversation about solar. So basically what happens is we work together, companies like us work together with the utilities to get homes qualified for the new programs. Now, what does that mean? Well, if the home gets qualified, we actually get paid to convert the home to green energy at no upfront cost to the homeowner and no risk. So what that means is for the next 25 years, we're responsible for everything. The installation, the equipment, the maintenance, the warranties, the insurance, everything's on us for the next 25 years. So there's no out-of-pocket cost to the homeowner, and or there's no risk, because we take the risk and responsibility for everything that has to do with the system. So that being the case, okay, why are so many people jumping on board? Like, why are you seeing so many people jump on board? Let's go to the next slide, Lori. Well, listen, I've got my own opinions about this. I've been in solar now for going on 8 years, and I've worked with thousands of homeowners in all throughout the Northeast. And one of the things that we do is we talk about our electric rates. So this is a chart that represents the electric rates that are paid on average in each state across the US. If you'll notice there, Connecticut is the third highest rate paying state in the entire US. So this was surprising to me. I actually was like, what? We pay more for electricity than California does? That's crazy. So that's one of the big reasons you've been seeing people do this is, like me, people have families. And, if we can cut our costs in a way that saves us a little bit of money and at the same time doesn't cost us anything, it's kind of nice. People don't actually realize that they have a choice until they look into solar. So I would say that's probably the first reason is that people like to save a little bit of money on something they have to buy, especially if it costs them nothing and they realize they actually have a choice now. I would say the second reason why you've been seeing so much solar going up is just, going solar is the single most impactful thing that a family can do to help the environment. So let me give you an example. So this is where I get to pick on somebody. Joe, you got volunteered earlier. So let me ask you a question, Joe. How long have you lived in your home, if you don't mind me asking?
I have to do some math. I'll say 47 years.
Okay, wow, great. 47 years, that's fantastic.
And I don't know. Since 76, you can do the math.
All right. If I have a calculator, yes. All right, so let's just say 40 plus years, okay? So how many trees have you planted in your yard in that 40 plus years, just out of curiosity?
One.
Okay, all right, great. That's actually the average for most homeowners. So Joe, the cool thing about solar is that Having the solar system on the home, if it's able to qualify, is like you going out and planting 2,000 trees, except you don't have to do any work, okay? Just by virtue of that solar system sitting there, that's what it's gonna do. So another question I have is, Joe, how many cars do you think you'll drive over the next 25 years?
Not that many.
2, 3,
I'm gonna say 1.5.
all right, one and a half. All right, so 1.5. Now let's just say, Joe, that you purchased all electric vehicles, okay? So that means that for the next 25, you're gonna take 1.5 cars, gas burning cars, off the road, okay? Now that's what the most that you could do personally, and that's a good thing, right? I mean, that's great for the environment. But just by virtue of having the solar system up on somebody's home, the average solar system would be like if you went out and took 26 gas burning cars off the road. Okay, so as you can see, these are not things that we could personally do, but that's what our solar system does. So once people realize that, they're kind of like, hey, that's kind of nice, right? It makes a difference. So they feel good about doing their part. The third reason, and honestly, this is the biggest reason why I've seen so many people jump on board, is just the long-term rate protection. Ultimately, the average homeowner is going to save somewhere between $14,000 and $30K on their electricity costs over the next 25 years. The rate increases are limited up front, okay? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Now, in case this sounds too good to be true, which trust me, I know it does, and that's always the biggest objection we get is this, if it sounds too good to be true, lads, it can't be true. What's the catch? So I'll tell you what the catch is. Okay? The catch is not everybody who wants solar will actually qualify for it. Okay? So there's 6 or 7 things that homeowners have to do, like myself, in order to qualify for the program. So let's go ahead and hit the next slide there, Lori. And this is really where our work comes in. We work with homeowners to help them qualify for the program, okay? So the first thing that you gotta qualify for is the transformer. Now, if you guys have ever noticed, if you have telephone poles or, in lines out in front of your house or on your street, if you've ever noticed, there's a silver garbage can looking thing that sits up on that telephone pole, okay? That's called a transformer. Now, the reason that's a qualification, and it's the first thing we talk about is that transformer can only, its job is to regulate electricity in and out of the grid, meaning from your house to the grid and back. Now, it only has so much capacity to do that. So once you get 2 or 3 homes per street that qualify for solar, that's it. The transformer is maxed out and the utility company will shut the program down on that street. Okay, so it's a first come, first served program. So that's the first thing we do when we work with the utility is we have them test that transformer to make sure it's going to be able to qualify for the system. Okay, so that's number one. Second thing we look for is your utility bill. Now I've got a sample utility bill tonight and we'll kind of go through that. I'll show you some ins and outs of it. But you need to spend a certain amount of money. If you're only spending $25 or $30 a month on electricity, hey, that's great. But you need to spend at least $50 or more, which is not hard to do here in Connecticut, obviously. Sun exposure. Now, obviously, this is solar, so we kind of need the sun to help us out here. So, if you think about your roof really quickly, okay, and think about, do I notice my roof getting 2 to 3 solid hours of sunlight per day? Okay. And of course, what we do is the shade analysis. So we go through and we actually do a design based upon the shade, because shade is our enemy when it comes to solar. All right. So we check that out. Roof condition. So it doesn't have to be a brand new roof, but it does need to be in decent shape. So what I always tell people is it's not so much about the age of the roof as it is the condition. So think about your roof right now. Okay. Think about how old it is. And more importantly, are you having any issues with it? Are you having any leaks? Are you having any, suspicious type, problems? If you're not, great. Generally speaking, we're going to be good to go. We just want to make sure, because we warranty it as soon as we touch it, and we don't want to be responsible for something if there's already pre-existing problems. Next thing is you got to have a 100 amp panel. It's funny. I've been in homes where they have the old, you guys remember the glass fuses? in your breaker panels, right? Listen, there's plenty of homes out there today that still have those. Unfortunately, we can't work with those. It's got to be a standard, you know, the switches in your breaker panel, and it's got to be at least 100 amp service. We also have the utility check the service on the outside as well, just to make sure that everything's wired appropriately, et cetera. It's a good time for us to kind of do a snapshot and make sure that everything looks great there as well. And then obviously you have to be a homeowner. Unfortunately, this program does not, we're not able to work with renters. So those are typically the most common, you know, qualifications that we look for. Now, let's go ahead and go to slide number 5, please. Great. So let's take a look at your electric bill. Now, Joe, you mentioned you've been in your house 40 plus years. So I'm going to assume that you've probably been buying electricity at least that long, correct? Okay. So let me ask you a question. Has anybody ever, so you've been buying electricity for over 40 years. Has anybody ever taken the time to really go over your electric bill and explain how you've been buying electricity?
A few years ago, yes, because there was a kind of big push to choose a different electrical company, and so.
Sure. Yeah. So third-party supplier, right? So let's talk about that for a second. A third-party supplier is somebody that you can buy your supply from, okay? But I'll talk about that a little bit more. It's only on the supply side. So Joe, you've been buying electricity for this many years, okay? And it was only up until a couple of years ago that you even kind of understood how your bill worked. If you're like most people, Joe, most people like myself, before I got into solar, I would open the bill, probably say a few not very nice things, and then I'd pay it. And that was the extent of my understanding around my electric bill, okay? And honestly, you know, 95% of the population out there. So as we take a look at this, the first thing I want you guys to notice, there's 2 highlighted areas. There's actually 2 parts of your electric bill, okay? Now, I'm just using Eversource, but United Illuminating, it's the same thing, okay? You have what's called supply, and you have what's called delivery, okay? Now, the supply is the cost to create the electricity. The delivery is the cost to get that electricity from the power plant to our homes, okay? Now, when you choose a third-party supplier, Joe, okay, what you're doing is you're saying, I'm gonna get my supply or my actual electricity from, you know, ABC company. You know, in this case, I'm getting it from Clearview Electric, okay? But one thing we can't ever change is we can't ever get rid of the delivery because it has to go through the grid, okay? So let's go to the next slide, Lori, and I'm gonna give you guys just a quick, you know, sometimes I could spend 20 minutes on this slide alone, just sharing how we get electricity and all the steps in the process, but I'm just gonna give you a quick overview. So Joe, any idea where we get the majority of our electricity from, or what the single largest source of our electricity comes from in Connecticut?
I would guess gas or oil.
You got it. You got it. So great. Natural gas, it wins the prize there. Okay. So natural gas is where we get, it's the single largest source of where we get most of our electricity here in Connecticut. Now, by any chance, Joe, do you know how we get our natural gas, or the process that it's called in order to get our natural gas?
Oh, it's just it miraculously appears in a pipe and gets piped here.
Joe, I'm so glad you're with us tonight. Oh, that was
It doesn't
perfect.
go through the Suez Canal on a boat.
Yeah, exactly. So listen, I wish it worked that way, but the truth is a little bit darker than that, okay? The truth is it's a process called hydraulic fracturing, okay? You guys have heard fracking is sort of the slang term for that. You've heard it on the news. There's all kinds of controversy around it. Well, there's a reason for it, okay? Because there are 10 steps, okay? When we think of supply and you look at the bill, we're gonna go back to that in a second, and you see that charge just for your supply, okay? From now on, I don't want you to just look at that and see the word supply. I want you to look at that and look at and think of the 10 steps that it takes just to create that electricity, because it all starts with a giant drill, okay? So we've got to drill a mile down into the earth. Now, I'm not great at like handyman type activities, but imagine the energy that it takes to drill a mile deep hole through every kind of substance known to man into the earth. Okay. Now, once we reach the depth at which this natural gas is located, and by the way, the natural gas that we're mining for or that we're drilling for, all it is, it's gases that over millennia of years, there are dead and composing creatures. And over time and millennia, these creatures give off gases. These gases become trapped in a layer deep in the earth. Once we find that layer, okay, which is usually about a mile down, we then have to drill horizontally to break up that layer and help loosen the gases that are trapped in that layer. Now, once we do that, we then have to encase that mile-long hole, both vertically and horizontally, with cement. Think about what that takes. Then once we do that, we pump in, and this is the fracking process, we pump in water and chemicals under extreme pressure to break up all of that sediment, okay? And then it all flows up back to the surface. Now again, just keep in mind how much energy and resources it takes to do this. Once this liquid comes to the top, okay, it gets separated into wastewater, and the other part of it goes to a processing plant. Now, think about millions and millions of gallons of water, Joe, that are coming back up, and it has all kinds of.
But I'm gonna have to leave very soon because my son wants to go play bingo with his friends on our computer.
No worries. So I'm going to go ahead and skip, Joe. I'm going to just skip this process, okay?
What's the bottom line here on does the solar energy has to go onto the grid? It doesn't go into a battery to supply it to your house, correct?
Yes, Joe, here's the bottom line. Panels go on the house, okay, assuming the house gets qualified, okay? And then we run a conduit down to the meter, your electric meter, which currently only spins one way.
Right.
After we run that conduit, the utility comes out and they replace that meter with a bidirectional meter. So now it spins both ways.
Is okay. Right.
Now what happens is number one, okay, solar works a little different than your electric from the electric company. It's the same kind of electricity. Like you're not going to notice any difference in your home. It's the exact same thing. The only difference is how it's produced. So because it's solar, do you think that the system's going to produce more in the summer or the winter, Joe?
The summer, obviously.
Obviously, right? Because we have more sun hours. So here's how it works. Let's say that this black line represents what you actually use, okay, on a monthly basis. Now, in the winter months, we may not produce everything because the days are shorter. We may not produce everything that you need.
So then we buy it, then we're paying the company for that, and then we get credit if we produce more than we use.
You got it. Now, the jackpot question is this, Joe, okay? During the off months, or when we're not producing as much, okay, you get to buy the energy at the lowest rate possible in the state, because solar is the only way that you can get rid of those delivery charges, okay? So you're buying it at the lowest rate possible. If we overproduce, okay, in the summer, not every home allows us to, but if we are able to do that, you still get to buy everything at the lowest rate, and then it's credited. The electric company buys it back from you, it's credited, and it goes into a bank that rolls over each month that we do that. Now, the question is what do you think the electric company credits you back at? Do they credit you back at the lower solar rate, or do they credit you back at the retail rate? What do you think?
Well, if I were an electric company, I would do it at the lower rate, but I don't know what they do.
Exactly. Well, because of the state law, Joe, the good news is that they actually credit it back at the higher retail rate. Okay. So it's pretty cool because you buy it at the lowest rate possible, you sell it back to them at the higher rate, that goes into a bank. And once you have a summer under your belt, there's a good chance that in the winter, when we don't produce enough, guess what? You got those credits to go through. So you may not need to buy as much electricity from the utility company in the winter as well.
One last question. When it snows in the winter, do the panels melt the snow on them in a hurry, or do we have to wait till God melts it?
Yeah, so Joe, great question. That's one of the 5 or 6 common questions I always get. So the truth is that the snow is just generally going to melt faster off the panels than it will off the roof, just because it's slick, right? It's slick, and it retains a little bit of heat in the winter. So that's pretty much it. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been fun, and now I'm off to do bingo.
All right. Good
Joe,
luck.
I sent you the link in the chat. If you're interested in signing up for a consultation, you have the link right there.
Did he go? Yeah. Okay.
You know what we could do, Katie, is email it out to everybody so they have it. Because I'm sure
will.
Joe doesn't get the chat part of this.
I will.
You're probably right. So there's a few other questions that people always ask me when we're talking about solar. Okay, the first is as soon as they see panels on their roof, it's like, wait a minute, are these things heavy? Like can my roof hold these panels? Like, is it going to cause my roof to collapse or cave in? And the answer is of course. So the actual what we call distributed weight of the solar system is only 3.5 pounds per square foot. So what does that mean? What it means is so my binder here is about a square foot, okay, and it actually weighs about 3 pounds. If I were to lay a row of my binders across your roof, that's how heavy a solar system, okay? Or it could be like a cat sitting on your roof, something like that. So the point is that solar is very light. It weighs less than an extra layer of shingles. The second question I get is well, is it going to damage my roof in any way? So let's see, who else can I pick on? David, good evening.
How are you?
Hey, I'm well. Thanks for joining us tonight. So David, let me ask you a question. Just out of curiosity, do you have a light colored, I'm sorry, what kind of things do you think ultimately damage your roof over time?
Weather.
That's it.
Wind, rain, creating friction on the roof, messes the shingles up. That's how you start having leaks.
Yeah, you got it. And in the winter, right, the ice and the snow sitting up there, melting and freezing, so it's expanding and contracting. So you're right. All of the elements is what causes damage to our roof over time. So if the house qualifies and now you have solar panels up there, what's going to be taking the brunt of those elements for the next 25 years?
Panels.
Right, exactly. So that's the second question people ask. The third thing I would say is Dave, would you say your roof color is light or dark?
Our roof color is like a medium to light brown.
Okay, nice.
So it's not a black or a gray shingle.
Right, because those black or gray shingles in the summer, what happens when the sun just bakes that roof all day?
Makes it hotter.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it heats up the attic, which then heats up the home. And one of the questions people ask me is will my house be a little bit cooler, by having solar panels? And the answer is it's not something we can guarantee. All I can tell you is that it makes sense that your house is cooler. And I've had many customers tell me that they didn't have to run as much AC in the summer just because the panels were taking the brunt of that heat. And we allow an air pocket between the panels and the roof. So it allows for airflow, which just doesn't quite heat up the attic the way that they're used to it heating up. So typically in the summers, the AC bills tend to be a little bit less as well. There's a few other questions that people typically ask me. The other one is, well, what happens if I move? Like, do I take the system with me? Right? So listen, each system is customized for your home. So if it's customized for your home, obviously it's going to stay with the property. And all that happens is it transfers to the new homeowners. There's no transfer fees. It's just a single piece of paper and they just continue to benefit like you were. So it's really simple in terms of that. And there's a few other questions. Again, I don't want to take too much more time. I know we got started a little bit late and it's a lot of information. I am more than happy to stay after and answer any more questions that you guys have. But I think I'm at the end of my particular time rope here. So the only thing I'll say is sort of, I guess, ending this out or closing this out is at the end of the day, it's really not about anything other than qualifying. So we can't guarantee that people will qualify for the program. So the first step that we take is just to get a shade study to determine what the home would qualify for. Then we sit down, we present the design. If it looks like a win-win, great. We can move forward. If not, no biggie. So thank you so much for your attention tonight. I'll be staying on afterward if you guys have more questions. And now I'm going to turn it back to the illustrious Sharon Rosen.
Unmute there. Thank you very much, Lance. It's a ton of information, I know, and you did a really nice job to kind of simplify it. I think it's overwhelming when you don't know about it. So we appreciate that very, very much. Before we actually close it out, we actually have one more raffle that we would like to do. And Katie, if you would like to do our raffle, I believe this one is for a Van Wilgens gift card, which is a nursery in Milford, and you can also shop there online.
I don't even want to say who won because this person wins everything. David Polino. I almost wanted to throw it back in the pile.
Well, listen, I will tell you what, since my wife can kill any living plant, even if they say you can't kill it, I will donate it back, give it to someone else. How's that? Pick someone else, it's fine.
All right. Taryn, yay, the new homeowner.
Ah, very nice.
That's
Very
good.
nice.
Taryn and Chris can get something for their house.
Excellent. So again, we'd just like to thank our partners at Trinity Solar, and I really encourage anyone, if you were intrigued by what you heard and you'd like to hear more, the folks at Trinity would be happy to sit down with you and talk to you and learn more about your home, and you can learn more about them. They actually have a promotion right now that they put together for this, where they will donate $50 to Special Olympics for every appointment that is made as a result of this seminar, and you will also earn a $50 gift for doing so. So if you're interested, it's a good time to do that. Again, Lance said he would stay on if there are any questions, and we'll be sending out an email after this as well, which will have a link where you can sign up for an appointment if you'd like to. Lori's always available, and she will answer any questions you have as well. And before I do end it, are there any questions that I can answer?
I have some questions for Lance, but that's it.
Okay, well, please stay on. Did you want to say something, Lance?
You know, we saved the best for last year, and that is that for every home that is able to qualify for this program, okay, not only does the homeowner get to benefit, you know, like we talked about, from solar, but our company also donates $1,000 per qualified home to the Special Olympics. So again, it's an honor, and it is so exciting to be a part of this program. If you've been thinking about it, and you know, you love the Special Olympics like we do, that's one of the things that we do.
Do you mind if I just jump in real quick? And I want to share, I should have said this from the beginning. This program is opened up to all of your friends, your neighbors, your family, anybody. And Trinity can work anywhere in the Northeast. So if you have somebody that you're connected to in Massachusetts, they're going to be able to support Special Olympics as well. So if you know, if we sit down and we go through the process, and maybe your home doesn't qualify, but there's your next door neighbor has a great sunny roof, please help us share it. That's the only way that this program is going to keep moving forward. Not being able to be in front of people at these events has really kind of slowed it down, and we would love to be able to just offer this up to everybody. And we're going to get that $1,000 for every single install that we get from the program. So the more we can share it, the better we can do for you guys.
Thank you. Thank you both, Lance and Lori.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure. All right, so David, hit me.
Okay. I was writing notes down as you were talking. So I have some questions because I've actually talked to people in stores before about solar panels. So my house, we've been in our house 18 years. Our roof got replaced a few years before we moved in. So they say the life of the roof is 30 years. So if 7 years from now, I needed to replace my roof, is there a charge to me to have you guys come out and take the solar panels off so my roof can be replaced, and then a charge to put them back on?
Yes, so it's called an R&R, removal and replace charge. So every company out there has something like that. And I'm just gonna, I love this question, David, because it gives me an opportunity to just be brutally honest here, right, and transparent. So in the industry, you know, probably 8 years ago when I first started, I was with another company, and they did something that they thought was a great idea, which is they came out with a $500 removal and replacement charge. And it was just like, you know, as representatives, we were just like, oh, this is awesome. This is wonderful. You know, it's so great, you know. Well, here's the reality. Nobody can afford to do it for $500. They just can't. Okay. You think about how much it costs to install a system, and then you think about actually dismantling the entire system, taking the whole thing off and then reinstalling the whole thing again. It is thousands and thousands of dollars is what it costs to do that. And when we're doing that, we're not actually, you know, installing somebody else who just got qualified for solar. So here's the reality. Okay. There were a lot of people that signed up at that time and got a $500 R&R. Okay. Those don't exist anymore. And there's a big reason for that. I've had my customers call me and say, hey, Lance, I thought you said it was $500. I said, it is. They said, no, it's not. I called the company and they're charging me, you know, $6,000, $7,000. And I was like, it's in your contract. He's like, I know. So we got on the phone, come to find out the company's like, well, hey, listen, we just decided we can't do it for that. So this is what it's gonna cost. Okay. I'm giving the skinny here because this is the reality of the industry. Okay. The other major company out there did something similar. They also had a $500 R&R. But what happened is if I were to call them now, and I've actually had multiple people call me, and we got on the phone with them, they'll honor the $500 R&R charge, but they'll book you out about 3.5 years. Okay, so most people aren't going to wait that long, obviously, to get a new roof. So here's the reality. Okay, it costs, on average, it costs somewhere, depending on the size of the system, somewhere around 57 cents a watt in order to do an R&R, meaning take it off and put it back on. Now, what does that mean to you? That is going to be somewhere between anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000 is what the cost is to send a team out there, dismantle it, and then reinstall everything. We have to reapply for permits, all of that good stuff. So here's what we came up with to help people out in that situation. If you know you're going to need a roof in the next couple of years, we have a discounted program where we can do it for 20 cents on the dollar. So, you know, most people are going to spend around $1,000 to do an R&R at that point. Or maybe, you know, maybe David, you've got a little bit more life in your roof than that. You know, it's not going to need to be done in the next couple of years. One of the things that we do is we do roofing. So as we move forward, if you get the roof through us, and we're very competitive, you know, we're going to be somewhere between $4.50 and $5 through us, we will actually waive the R&R fee. So it's kind of our way to kind of create a win-win situation where, hey, we get to put a roof on, et cetera. So Dave, you're muted there.
Yeah, I was telling my wife to be quiet in the background. This microphone picks everything up. Katie muted it for me.
It's a good mic.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's good.
Sorry, that was a really long answer to your question, but that's the reality. That's the truth.
No, that's perfect because that's what I wanted to know.
I didn't have on headphones, so I heard your wife and not Lance. So Lance, what was the very end of that you come up with? If you need to have the roof done, but it's not going to be in the next few years, what if it's like 8 years from now?
Yeah, exactly. If it's like 8-10 years down the road, and you decide to go through us for the roof, because we're actually, roofing is something that we've decided really works well with solar for obvious reasons. So if you guys decide to go with us for the roof, and we are competitive, you know, we're going to be somewhere between $4.50 to $5 a square, which is, you know, pretty standard in the industry. If you use us to replace the roof, we'll actually waive that R&R fee. So, you know, again, just trying to look for a win-win, you know, everywhere that we can. So David, answered your question?
Yes, thank you. I have more though.
Please, fire away.
Okay. So you said that you guys are responsible for the entire system. Let's say I have the system up for a year or two. A windstorm comes, a tree branch falls, hits it, breaks it. Do you guys take care of that, or do I have to claim it on my homeowner's insurance?
Great question. So that's actually the same example that I use when I'm talking with people, David. So great scenario. Okay. Not that we have any windstorms in Connecticut.
Yeah, never.
How long were you guys without power last summer?
10 days.
I have a generator.
Oh, we have a generator, yeah, but our neighborhood was down for like 9, almost 10 days.
Yeah, we were down for 8, and of course it was the hottest part of the year. And we have a generator as well, but it doesn't work the AC. So, oh my God, you talk about a crabby, we have 12 people living in our home. You talk about some crabby people. Yeah, it was not fun. So, yeah, so
I don't
anyway.
know how long we were out without power, because I just
what's
went
that?
to my camper. They had power up there.
Oh,
I have no idea.
good for you, man. So listen, tree branch falls down. We're going to be responsible for any damage to the system. Your homeowners would be responsible for your roof, just like normal. You know, another question people ask me is, what happens if I lose power? Right? Well, listen, if you lose power, you're still going to lose power. You know, there are battery backup systems out there, but guys, I'm just telling you, I've been in this a long time. The technology is just not quite where it needs to be at this point. They're extreme for the expense versus the value. You're much better off going with a home generator than you are with the battery storage. Now, down the road, the technology, you know, will continue to improve as far as the batteries go, but it's very slow. So having said that, you're still going to lose power unless you have a backup generator, but there's nothing you need to do. Okay, it's all automatic. When we lose power, shuts down, the system automatically shuts down and then turns back on as soon as your power turns back on. The reason why we have that automatic shut off and turn back on feature in there is because we don't want to accidentally backfeed power into the grid in case somebody comes out to work on the transformer. Another question people ask me is, you know, what happens, will my property taxes go up as a result of having this? Well, because we own the system and we're responsible for it, it's not something that you can be taxed on. And even if you did own the system, you're actually, solar is tax exempt in most of the northeastern states, including Connecticut. So the answer is no, your taxes won't go up as a result of this. Trying to think, oh, another question people ask me is what about my homeowner's insurance? Do I need to, you know, put this on, or is my homeowner's insurance going to go up as a result of this? Again, the answer is no, because, you know, we're responsible for it. Our insurance firm fully covers any damage to the system. Now, having said that, there is a caveat, okay? So everybody's got that well-intentioned brother-in-law who thinks he's an electrician, okay? And he likes to come over and he's like, hey, let me take her around with this thing. Let me see if there's I can get it to produce more electricity, right? And all of a sudden it's not working. You can't get mad at us if that happens, okay? So that's the only thing we ask is please don't get mad at us if somebody messes with the system that's not authorized to do that. Other than that, it's covered.
And how do you determine how many panels are going to be put on your home?
Great
From
question.
your electric bill?
Yes. So, Lori, if you don't mind, can you pull up or can we share the slides again? There's actually a copy of an electric bill that I want to show you guys really quickly. I know I had to skip it just because I didn't want to take any more time. And I should have warned you guys, once I get going on this stuff, it's hard to stop me. So let's go to the 5th slide there. One more, there you go. All right. So it's all based upon how many times your meter spins. Now, when we talked about it earlier, right, I mentioned, okay, the term kilowatt hour. Now, listen, why am I talking about that? The only reason you need to know what a kilowatt hour is because that's what your entire bill is based upon. A kilowatt hour is, remember we talked about that meter that spins? Okay, it only spins one way and it costs us money. Well, every spin of that meter, one spin equals 1 kilowatt hour. That's all it means. Okay, so just imagine one spin. Now, what we want to know is we want to know how much it costs us every time that meter spins one time, because they take that rate and multiply it by how many times our meter spins every month. That's what our bill is based upon. So Sheila, to ask your question, if you look on your bill, so this is a copy of my bill, okay? Last, I don't know, it was August. So if you look at this, you can see the supply charge, which is the cost to create the electricity, and you can see my meter spun 2,257 times. That's where you can see how much electricity you're actually using. Now, it's not good or bad, it's not right or wrong, it's just how many times your meter spun based upon how much electricity you use that month. Okay, so they take that and they multiply it by your rate. And in this particular instance, it costs us $225 for the electricity itself, right? Now it has nothing to do with getting the electricity to our homes. That's just the cost to create it. Once it's created, it has to go through the grid. So if you look here on this next, Sheila, the next highlight, it says delivery. I don't know, are you in Eversource or UI? Just out of curiosity.
Eversource.
Okay, great. So your bill is going to look just like mine. So I don't know if you guys are like me, but every time I look at this, I'm just like, what are all these charges? This is crazy. I don't know what half this stuff is. So the transmission charge and the distribution charge, which is the first and fourth charge, okay, the two biggest charges there, that's actually for the grid itself, meaning the power lines, the poles, the transference stations, the substations, et cetera, et cetera. Now, all of these other charges, you guys will be interested in those. See this FMCC delivery charge for $35, okay? Does anybody have any idea what that is? Okay.
No.
I didn't either. Yeah, I didn't either. Or the system benefits charge, or conservation charge, or renewable energy charge. Here's the thing. All four of those charges have to do with the solar program in Connecticut. Meaning that
we're paying for it anyway.
Exactly, we're paying for it anyway. So here's what I always tell people: if we're paying for it, I might as well at least get the benefit from it. Exactly. So what we do, Sheila, is we take the number of times that your meter spun, and we I don't have the page up here, but on your bill you're going to have a graph that shows you how much electricity you use for an entire year. We look at that graph, okay, and we do, we say, okay, well, this person used 10,000 kilowatts, or their meter spun 10,000 times last year. So we base the system on how much electricity you're using, and then we coordinate that with how much space your roof has, how much sun you get, and the pitch of your roof. And all of those factors come together to tell us what your home actually qualifies for. Now, most people, unless you have a really big roof, we can't always produce everything, that you're using. So for example, in my case, as you can see, we use a lot of damn electricity, okay? We have a lot of people in our house. It's very expensive. So I just don't have enough roof space to produce everything we use, but I am still ecstatic about my system, because whatever it does produce, I still get to buy it at the cheapest rate possible. So, it's a win-win situation. So that's a long answer to a short question, Sheila. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Now, what if, like, I'm only one person in this house, and it's a fairly small house.
Okay.
I've been told in the past, I saw somebody at Costco, and they did just like a Google map, and they said I have too many trees and I wouldn't be eligible. But I think if somebody really came out, I get so much sun because I'm on the lake, and it's just, I get a lot of sun here. But could I overproduce?
Yeah, great.
Like, could I put more panels than necessary to sell it back to the grid?
So here's the thing,
not that I want to make it a money-making thing. I'm just thinking it would be a good thing.
Well, here's the thing, Sheila. Okay, so you're sharp, and you actually pointed out the very reason why the utility won't let us produce more than 100%. Because by law, they have to credit you at the higher rate. So they say, okay, fine. If we have to credit at the higher rate, then we're not going to allow you to produce more than you actually use, because then that would cost us money. So, I think everybody would, be crazy if that happens. So we can only produce 100%. So if you do have the roof space, and if it's just you in the home, there's a good chance that we might be able to do that for you.
Okay.
Yeah, and Sheila, I'll just add to that. If you want to just click on that link and put your address in there, we could actually look at the property. We can have somebody call you and sit down and talk to you. And just for that meeting, you'll get a check for $50, and Special Olympics will also get a check for $50 just to go through the whole process, because everything that Lance said about how many panels we can fit on the roof and how much electricity we use, it's really good to sit down and have that personal consultation, because everything's different for every property,
Right.
Look around and maybe show you, maybe if we trimmed a couple of branches off and opened it up a little, or, everybody's different.
Yeah. Now, what if you have several different buildings on your property? Like
Yes.
maybe, like my garage is separate from my house, and
Mhm.
maybe my garage would get more light than my house.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
is that something
Yeah, that's something
feasible?
that we do. Yeah, that's something that we do. Every situation is a little bit different. So it
Right,
really depends on how far the structure is, how, whether or not we would have to dig underneath like a structure, like a driveway or something like that to run the conduit, that type of stuff. So again, it's something that we take a look at, and if it's possible to do, we want to do it because like I said, we're in business to make money just like anybody else. And we get paid to convert, homes to these programs.
right.
So we
But I
want
mean,
to.
the conduit, even if the conduit's already there.
Yeah, now if you do have conduit that's already there, so for example, you have a powered garage that has its own breaker panel,
Mhm.
that can make things a little bit easier for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So
I don't
yeah.
want to get, too individual with this, but okay.
No, great questions. What other questions can you guys think of?
Do you guys do commercial installations? Because I'm part of my parish council and we're looking at doing this at our church. Where the whole property, no trees, all south facing. It's like the perfect scenario.
Wow. Yeah, listen, we don't actually do commercial, but Michael, I'll put a note here to make sure and get you the information. I know some people that do. Here's the thing, commercial is just a different animal because it doesn't qualify for the free residential programs that we specialize in. So in other words, it's going to be something that it's going to be a purchase. It's something that, the church is going to have to raise money for and, come up and, it's just a completely different animal. But I have people that specialize in that. So I'll be happy to pass that along.
And do you offer programs like where people actually buy these systems or you're strictly, you own it and they get the savings from it?
Yeah. So here's the thing, the programs that we're talking about right now, they're called basically a performance-based program. So we don't make any money on the excess, electricity that's produced. In fact, we're just like the utility guys. We're literally just another utility company. We sell you whatever we're able to produce, albeit at a much cheaper rate because it costs a lot less to produce solar electricity than, the old conventional way of doing it. Plus we don't have any delivery. So because it costs less, we can charge less, but over time, we're going to make just a little bit of money. It's like a mortgage for us, right? It's an investment. So over time, we're going to make a little bit of money. But ultimately, that's how we make our money. So, and I'm trying to remember the question that you just asked me was.
Well, like the purchase, like where a homeowner would purchase the system.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So you can purchase your system and we do offer those programs as well. The only thing I would say is 99% of the people in Connecticut go with the performance-based program because the loan program there's no state benefit for doing that in Connecticut. Now, if you lived in New York, literally your first $5,000 of your electric bill are paid for if you buy your system and you go solar. We don't have anything like that in Connecticut. So the time that it takes for somebody to make their money back on their solar system if they buy it is like 15 years. And a lot of people don't stay in their homes that long. So the only time that we really see people going with those type of loan programs or purchase programs is if they know they're going to be in their home, for at least 15 years and they have a tax appetite, meaning that, they're still, filing taxes every year and they can actually take advantage of the federal tax credits, but it's really few and far between.
I have another question. You actually answered a couple of my other questions while you were talking, because I did want to know about having a battery, and I wanted to know if you guys were actually a third-party supplier. But also too, my house was built in 1925, and
wow.
my roof is tongue and groove, which I like rather than the sheets of plywood. Is there any difference in installing on a tongue and groove roof?
Great question. So you have the standard, probably architectural shingles?
Yeah, I live in a colonial, I have a high pitch. My house gets a ton of sun.
Okay.
So like
Gotcha.
Joe was worried about the the snow. I'm not worried about the snow. It gets a little warm, that's all gonna slide right off. It's such a good pitch.
That's great. So as far as tongue and groove goes, you're referring to the actual plywood surface?
No, so my roof,
Right to the
if you,
truss.
I have a full walk-up attic. So if
Gotcha.
you go up there and you look, it's tongue and groove, and then the nails from the shingles are coming in.
Gotcha.
Now, if there is plywood on top of that, I do not know because I've never replaced the roof, but it is tongue and groove like on the inside of my house.
Gotcha. Okay. So you have rafters, right? They're typically rafters are either 2x8 or 2x12, something like that. So the tongue and groove doesn't matter as much because all we do is just a single bolt that goes into the rafter. So the tongue and groove really doesn't make any difference. So that's, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's a single bolt that goes into the rafter, and there's a little flat, it's like a little piece of metal that slides up under the shingle. And then that joint is triple sealed with something that has like a 75-year warranty. So that's pretty much it. It's very simple. Good question. And you mentioned, are we a third-party supplier? So we are not a third-party supplier. We're actually the main source of the electric for the home. Okay. So because you could choose a third-party supplier just for the supply portion of your bill, but you still have to pay for all those delivery charges, that they charge you. With solar, you're just paying one flat rate for everything. And then anything that the system doesn't produce that month, you still buy it through the utility, just like you normally would. Okay, but the key is you want to buy as much as you can at the cheapest rate possible. So, great
But
question.
Lance, just so I'm clear, when you buy it from the utility, you're buying it at a greatly reduced rate because you are a solar system, or are you paying it at that?
No, so you're buying everything the solar system produces at the reduced rate. Okay, anything it doesn't produce, you still buy it at the retail rate from the utility, just like normal. But the key is this. Let's just say, Michael, for example, let's say you used 1,000 kilowatts last month. Okay, so your meter spun 1,000 times, and the system, let's say the system only produced 700 of those kilowatt hours. Okay, so you would buy 700 from the solar system at the cheapest rate possible, and then you would only be buying 300 of those at the retail rate. So the savings comes in where you're buying as much as you can at the cheaper rates so that you just don't have to buy as much from the utility. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But your rate with the utility stays the same.
But if you have an excess, if you say you produce 1,200 hours, the extra 200 gets sold to them at that standard rate that they would charge me to buy from them.
Yes, and then let's just say you had 1 month where we overproduced 300 kilowatts, okay? And let's say that in December, your system didn't produce, you needed 300 kilowatts, okay? Once you have a summer under your belt, that bank of 300 credits is sitting there waiting for you. So in the winter, December comes around, okay? You buy 700 kilowatts that the system produced at the cheapest rate possible, and then you buy 0 from the utility because you have those credits waiting for you. So that's when people get really excited. Now, again, we can't do that for everybody because we're limited to what your house allows us to do, right? And how much electricity you use. But in the situations where we can do that, it's fantastic.
So you're usually, because you really probably don't get to 100%. So you're going to get 2 electric bills. You get one from Trinity Solar, and then like I have UI, so I would get one from UI.
Yeah, and let's say, David, let's say that we were able, your house allowed us to produce 100%. Again, it doesn't really matter because whatever we can produce, you still get to buy it in a much cheaper rate, right? So it's still a win-win, even in a worst case scenario. But let's just say that we were able to create 100% of the electricity that you used, okay? In that scenario, there's only one thing that you would get from UI, okay? And it's a flat customer service charge. Okay, it's like, I don't know, it's like $9-10 a month, something like that. That's the only charge that you would have from them in that scenario because it's a flat fee and it keeps you connected to the grid, which we need to be Because if the system doesn't produce everything you need in the winter, you need to be able to pull it from the grid, right? So that's basically like a connection fee to stay connected to the grid. Guys, great questions. I don't normally get, like, I don't know if I'm just gonna go with people who are part of the Special Olympics are just more intelligent than the average person. I'm just gonna go with that.
Dave was studying for his
I
solar
agree.
trivia night, right?
Hey, listen, this is no lie. I was on Noddard Road today, looking at venues for cycling. So I went right by you guys today. I was like, oh, that's tonight. I got to get my questions ready.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. What other questions do you have, guys?
So you must know Louis Banda.
Lou Banda from Watertown?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Awesome. Anything else you guys can think of? All right. Well,
That's it for tonight.
Beautiful,
Uh-huh.
guys. Appreciate
Well,
it. If you want us to come
Thank
out
you.
and take a look at your home, please let us know. And again, thank you for your time and attention and fantastic.
Yeah, how do we do that again? How do we
Yeah,
set up
so-
an appointment?
I'm going to point to Katie.
In the chat box, I put a link and I'll do it again, so I'll refresh it for you.
Okay.
So you just click on this link
Oh,
and
the chat.
sign up
Okay.
for it.
Yeah. Or
We'll send
Okay.
out an email follow-up to Sheila and we'll put it in there as well.
Okay.
Awesome.
awesome. We'll spread the word, guys. Thanks again for your time. It's really been a pleasure getting to know you guys just a little bit. And thanks for your questions.
Thank you. Have a
so
good night,
much,
everybody.
Everyone,
Thank you for your
That was
time.
great.
Lori
Thanks,
and Lance.
Lori.
Thank
Take
you
care,
guys
guys.
for.
Thank you,
Bye.
Sharon. Thank you, Katie.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night, guys.
Great job, guys. Thank you so much for putting this together.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Lance.
Take care.
Have a good one.